Hello friends, my name is Koolio and welcome back to the channel. Now I promised you guys that I was going to go through and do a detailed overview, kind of an analysis video of the DRAGALIA Lost gameplay video that they released a couple of days ago. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how many of you guys are looking forward to this game, and I'm really excited to play it as a community. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through and kind of break down this trailer and talk about some of the things that I noticed while watching this a couple of times. So we're going to kind of skip all over the place, and I'm just going to talk about the more interesting aspects of the trailer. So let's go ahead. This is the very beginning. This is the story of the game. Now this is by Nintendo and Cygames. I do want to point something out though while the story is kind of going on. Now, a lot of people talked about how the story behind this game seems very generic, but it's actually kind of cool. They recently came out with a story video, talking about the game and explaining that the hero himself is betrayed by his family. I'll actually leave a link down in the description below talking about it, but it's actually really cool that you've got this element to the story that you have to, as the main character, you have to fight your family to take back the throne. I'm hoping that's how it kind of works out. So this is it. Let's go ahead and actually jump in and actually analyze the video. Okay, this is our first really good glimpse at what the user interface is going to look like. So if we actually take a look up at the top, you got your level. It looks like the Dragon Blood Prince Euden might be the name of the character. That's what I'm assuming, is that's where your leader, like the leader of your party, is going to be. So the character will be the Dragon Blood Prince Euden is probably his name. And then the first thing you see right there is the Dragon Trials, which is a special event. So we're going to have obviously special events coming into the game. Maybe events to gain items or shards or some type of equipment to use for our dragons. Next up on the top right, you can see what kind of looks like crystals. I'm wondering if that's going to be used for these special events or maybe some heavier boss battles. If anyone knows specifically what it is, let me know down below. Now below that are the two premium currencies in the game. Wormite, which can be used for summoning, and then Diamantium, I think is what the name is. I probably got that completely wrong. But that's a premium currency that you actually will buy with real money, real world money. And then to the right of that, you've got your gift selection. There's probably going to be daily gifts, gifts that you can send friends. There's going to be a lot of stuff. You can tell that this character actually has a lot. Now if we go down, you can see there's a join co-op. Now, what I'm hoping is you can actually click on that. You'll probably be able to see rooms in the game that you can join. Probably you'll see your friends list as well and see if any of them are doing dungeon raids, boss raids, any like hard difficulty dungeons to run through, possibly PvP, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in this video. Below that is the quests. There's most likely going to be daily quests, weekly quests, monthly quests. You can click on that. Most likely your starter quests are going to be there as well. The center talks about upcoming events. Next to that as well, you can kind of have an events board. Most likely when we get into the game, you click on that, it's going to be talking about like launch events, maybe special XP, gold, Wormite, whatever, you know. You can kind of click on that. Above that, probably going to be notifications. I don't know what's next to that. Probably going to be like, I'm thinking it's going to be kind of like a notice board. It kind of looks like a little piece of paper with like a red stamp in the center. And I'm not entirely sure what the logo is. Next to that, maybe a type of store. Not entirely sure. Now on the very bottom, you've got your homepage, which is what we're currently looking at right now. The upgrade system, I'm assuming, is going to be where you find your weapons. And the worm prints, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video, and possibly and other aspects that you can do to level up your characters. Next to that is your actual team. Now it says teams, so I'm assuming you can obviously set up multiple teams of different heroes and stuff. Maybe you have a team specifically made for boss fights, maybe a team to clear through the story. Next to that is the castle system, which we'll get into later in this video, the summoning, and then the more section, which will probably have like settings, your friends list, a bunch of other stuff that we can kind of take a look at. So let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, let's pause. This is a really great opportunity to take a look at how many different heroes there's going to be. Now you can tell through the color of the background of the different heroes, their elemental type. What type of hero they are is determined by the icon in the top left, as well as it looks like, actually that's the elemental type in the top left, and then the type of weapon they can use. Now in this video, it goes on to say that you can actually equip different weapons to change your playstyle. I'll talk about this a little bit later in the video. I honestly don't think that you can equip different types of weapons to different characters. Like, for example, the main character looks like he uses a one-handed sword. I don't think you're going to be able to swap it out for a one-handed axe, but we'll have to see when we actually get into the game. Next up, you can see the different levels. They've got a level 12 at the highest currently. And then you can see you have a weapon you can equip, the worm print, and then each of the characters can have their own separate dragons that you can equip onto them as well, with the dragons having their own elemental type. You have the leader of your group that you pick, and then you have the star rating for your different characters, with the max star rating being 5, and then you can have a total of 4 heroes. Now, pay close attention, because I was talking about how you can have multiple teams set up of different heroes, and it kind of confirms it on this section. If you look up at the top, on the left side and the right side of the screen are those little arrows. I'm assuming that's where you can go through and swap between the different teams that you have. So let's go ahead, let's keep going. You can create a party of up to 4 adventurers, obviously. Pretty great. Okay. There's the next part that we're going to pause at. Taking a look at the screen right here, obviously you can see your character's portrait at the very bottom. Clicking on that swaps between your different heroes. Above that is the dragon, which we'll get into a little bit later with the power meter next to it. Now, this screenshot doesn't specifically show it, but it does show that there are multiple skills that your hero acquires. As far as we know right now, you can have a total of 2. But what I want to point out specifically is up on the top right, it says auto disabled. Yes, this game is going to have auto combat, but most of the stuff that you see on here, it shows the auto combat disabled. Now, I don't mind if a game has auto combat. However, I don't mind using it for grinding through the game if there's like certain special events going on for increased wormite or experience for the different characters. I don't mind autoplay for stuff like that. But if you're going through dungeons and boss raids, I'm glad that there's the option to click off auto disabled. I hope that's like the basic of the basis of the game. Like when you jump in the game, it's automatically disabled, and it's your choice whether or not you want to enable it. So I just wanted to point that out and let you guys know. Also, this is our first glimpse right there of elemental hazards in the game, environmental hazards. I'm hoping there's going to be more than just simply getting burned, but possibly there might be puzzles, there might be movement traps, such as like a wind blowing you back, knocking you away, stuff like that. It makes me excited to see how these dungeons are going to go. Also, I know someone in the Reddit forums was asking whether or not the dungeons are going to be randomized. I kind of hope so. I think that would be really fun that each of the levels are randomized when you actually run through it. So I just wanted to kind of point that out to you guys. Now right here, what he says, there's the skill that you can use, right? Right now we can only see 1 skill, but I have seen on the video that there's been up to 2, possibly 3 skills. So we'll have to see where that comes from, whether that's simply leveling up your character, having different items equipped, or maybe even different wormites or worm prints equipped to your character. So I want to pause right here. Now, they don't specifically do this in this video, but I just want to kind of point it out to you. It might happen a little bit later, but you see those wooden barrels? I believe those are things that you can actually go up and hit and acquire items and gold and other things from destroying those destructible environments. I just wanted to point that out for you guys. Now, another thing I want to point out right here, and this is kind of obvious, but I think it's kind of cool, is the wolf, this diamond wolf that they're fighting, had 2 different major attacks that it activated. One where it did an area of effective attack around it, and then a charge forward attack. And I just want to point that out because most likely we're gonna have a large variety of different bosses to be able to play with different play styles. So you'll actually have to go in and think about the type of heroes or abilities you're gonna want to use in order to take on certain bosses. I just wanted to point that out to you. A lot of you probably already knew that, so let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, there was one part I wanted to show you guys. Let's back this up just a little bit, and I'll pause it right at the moment. Okay, right here up on the top, you can see there's a couple of different items that you actually acquire through the game. It's hard to tell exactly what these are. The first one I want to point out is that green gem looking one, kind of in the center. It says they've gained 1. Now, from what I could tell is with the mana circle, which is the kind of like an upgrade system for your different heroes, it looks like they actually take that type of energy in order for you to unlock specific nodes within that system. Next, that looks like to be some type of mineral, which I'm hoping is used to possibly upgrade weapons, craft weapons, possibly. We're not entirely sure. To the left of that, there's some kind of paper. I'm not really sure exactly what that is. It could be a ticket summoning thing. It could be... To be honest, I have no idea. We'll have to see when the game finally comes out. Next to that is a weapons icon. You can collect weapons simply by playing through the game. And next to that is an item icon, which I think has to specifically deal with maybe worm prints that you can get for your different characters and stuff like that. We're not sure, but I just wanted to point that out to you, that you can acquire certain items simply by playing the game, and most likely it'll be lower tiered items. Maybe for the big boss fights you might get better items, but most likely these are things we're going to feed to enhance some of our other stuff. So that part where it talks about these crystals that you can obtain through the game, if you look at the very bottom left, you can see that there's 2 meters next to the dragon icon. Once you collect these crystals from the dragon obelisk, as well as the enemies, you can fill it up. Once you get it about halfway, you can unlock the dragon. Now I'm wondering, does this mean if we fill it up all the way, if we activate it, will it mean that we use all of the energy and the stronger the dragon is? Or does it mean that we can use it up to a maximum of 2 times during one dungeon run? I just wanted to kind of point that out there. If anyone has any thoughts on it, let me know down below. Okay, so I want to point out something right there that he said. It talks about adventurers that combine with multiple dragons have a lot of strength, something along that lines. I don't know if that specifically means, most likely we can just pack bound with one single dragon at a time, but possibly passive abilities being unlocked for the more dragons you have. Who knows? You know, we don't know for sure, but I do want to kind of point that out. The other thing I want to point out too, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the video, is, are there only 5 dragons? Those 5 large dragons that we've seen so far? I think I remember someone posting a list talking about other dragons, but we don't know exactly all the dragons that are going to be in the game. The other thing too is, can we evolve dragons? Because in the video you're going to see some younger dragons that seem to kind of grow up into these larger ones. And then there was one other thing I want to talk about, but we'll get there once we get a little bit farther into the game, so a little bit farther into the video. Okay, here's the next one that we want to talk about. Okay, here you can see that each of the levels have a certain amount of stamina that it costs for you to enter into the area, as well as it says, it has like a sword that says suggested 1040. There's obviously going to be kind of a power gauge to understand how strong your team is. And then it also talks about the elemental types for that map. So for the water, you're going to want to bring wind champions to jump in, which it's going to talk about in just a second. There is, off to the left, there is kind of like a zoom icon. I'm wondering if you click on that, it'll let you know the types of enemies you're going to encounter in the game, as well as there is that right arrow too that might allow us to understand a little bit more about the area that we're going to jump into. And then it's got the 3-star rating too to see how good you do in the game. I just want to point some of this stuff out because a lot of you guys might watch the video and might not have the time to actually go through and kind of pause it and look at some of the things that it has in the game. So let's keep going. Alright, here's the next one that we got to talk about. So the might system that I was talking about up in the top right, this team has a might of 1,249. As well, this is teams 1. This kind of confirms what I was talking about before. It looks like you can have a total of 6 different teams that you can swap between. Now the other thing they don't talk about this is the co-abilities up on the top right. You see how some of them are highlighted? I believe those are most likely going to be passive abilities. So depending on what type of heroes you bring in, some heroes will work well together. And I think the reason why they're doing this is the main character is actually a twin to one of the other heroes that you can use in the game. So if you use both of those heroes at the same time, their co-abilities could be used to benefit from one another. So you actually really do have to pay attention to your team combination. Now with this one, they've got all elemental types. With a lot of those things, looks like it's boosting attack, possibly mana, and the last one may be defense. So I wanted to point that out to you guys. There are co-abilities for the different heroes. That's something they haven't told us about yet, but it does show it briefly in this part of the video. Alright, so this is the next part that I want to talk about with the game. So I talked about how going through levels you can actually obtain items and stuff simply just by playing the game. Now right here you can see there's adventurer experience. It looks like the item I was talking about was rupees. So that, like I was saying, it looked like a little ore piece, but it looks like instead of gold, we're going to attain rupees. That's going to be the base currency in the game. Points right there. And then the mana, looks like they obtain 60 mana. If you look behind the spear, that's what we're going to use to upgrade our mana circle. Up on the top left, you can see that there's a couple of different contingencies when completing an area. This one says don't use any continues. Allow no more than 2 of your team to fall in battle. And then I don't know what the last one says. And then you can also obtain these weapons. Now this is a 2-star lance. From what I understand is we're going to have the same rating system that we have with the heroes with the weapons. So you can actually get up to a 5-star weapon. However, in this video, it only shows up to 2-star through obtaining it simply by playing the game. However, you can attain up to 5-star rainbow rare weapons by unlocking them in the gacha system. Alright, this is what I'm talking about. Up at the top right, you can see that green orb, that mana. This person has 30,000 that they can use in order to change and activate these nodes. Now, it looks like at the bottom right, there's an automatic one. You can click on that and it'll automatically upgrade some of the nodes for you. This one says that there's a total of 30 nodes activated. We don't know how much this is going to affect our heroes. If you're able to unlock all of the nodes simply by grinding out and maxing out that hero, it looks like it, because if you look at the tier below this one, it looks like most of the crystals are unlocked. And my assumption is that in order to get to the next tier, either you have to obtain a certain level or you have to unlock all the nodes of the lower tier in order to get to the next one. But we don't know until we actually play the game. I'm just letting you guys. These are all speculations that I'm talking about. So, okay, the next thing I want to talk about, it's kind of hard to see, but in the very back it says upgrade Force Strike, upgrade ability. Now, I'm assuming those are different skills that your character uses. The upgrade ability, I'm not entirely sure what that is. That could be for the co-abilities, or it could be simply for your character's ability. Now, the upgrade Force Strike, is that a specific skill in the game? I'm not entirely sure. It might be a specific co-ability, it might be a specific ability that your character uses. I just wanted to point that out for you guys. Alright, here's the next part. It says that you can build these mines to produce gold. However, I think what they're specifically saying is the rupees in the game. Now, it looks like you might be mainly using the rupees to upgrade your Halidom or your castle in order to upgrade your character. So, now let's go ahead and pause it one more time. Okay, so looking at this, it looks like there's a collect all system that you can click on. It looks like there's dragon eggs and gold or rupees that you can collect. So there might be a possible way to actually nurture and develop our dragons. You can see that there's kind of an egg in the bottom left in the collect all. There's a storehouse. I'm not sure what that could be. That could be where we store our rupees, our gold, maybe some of our other items that we're not currently using at the time, and then obviously a building mechanic to be able to build more stuff around this area. So, and then there's a facility level, so you can level up your castle. It says so up in the top left. Let's go ahead and continue. All right, we need to pause for a second. So you saw like a card pack kind of fall down. Let me see if I can actually bring that on the screen real quick. This might be hard for me to pause. Right there. Now this is a golden pack. This I think has to deal with the worm prints in the game, this card system in the game. Next up, you've got this silver dagger. That's probably going to be a 3-star weapon. After that is a silver axe. This could be, actually this might be a 2-star weapon. Just to correct me, because I'm pretty sure it's 2 stars bronze, 3-star is the silver, 4 stars gold, 5 stars rainbow. Okay, so this is definitely a 3-star. After that, it talks about the different things that you can summon. But I want to talk about this too. We're gonna pause. Sorry for all the pausing. Now you can summon characters, obviously. You can summon dragons and worm prints. Now if you look and pay attention to the dragons, some of them look really young, like baby dragons. So I'm wondering if you can actually evolve your dragons and make them stronger. We don't know exactly yet. So the next one I want to talk about too, and someone pointed this out. Actually, what I'm gonna do, let's go ahead and kind of fast forward a little bit. This person right here, she has a golden trident. Now, one person asked, does that mean that's what her weapon's going to look like? I don't think so. I think it just necessarily means that she's a 4-star hero, and that the aesthetics of the weapons will change depending on which ones you equip. Now, I'm really hoping that's the case, because imagine equipping like a 5-star rainbow weapon. It looks absolutely beast and actually changes the cosmetic of your character. I don't necessarily think they're going to be silver and gold and rainbow like. So if we go to the next one, it does show a rainbow bow. So she's equipped with a rainbow bow. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to have that weapon right off the bat, but you might need to summon it later. I don't necessarily think that summoning like a 5-star hero is going to give you a 5-star weapon with them. I don't think so. I think it's going to leave them blank, and you're going to have to equip them with a weapon that you already have. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about, and I was talking about this before, look at this dragon. It looks like a baby version of that red dragon. So does that mean we're going to have the ability to evolve them? We're not sure yet. It could be that this dragon right here, we could promote it up to a 5-star and it would turn into one of those big, massive dragons. Or you simply just have to get lucky and find one of those larger dragons in the game. So we're not really sure right now. Now look at this guy. Alright, look at this guy. The Zephyr Imp. He's not a dragon. So it doesn't mean there's necessarily going to be just dragons in the game. I think the next one, there's the big blue dragon, but I think there's one more, or I saw like a picture of something that looked almost like a Harpy. So it's kind of nice that it's not simply just dragons, but there could be lots of different creatures that you can actually acquire in the game. So, okay, the next part I want to talk about, this amulet or talisman section. It looks like you can tier them up to almost, you can see like the 4 diamonds. You can tier up by leveling them up, and then they give you increases of different stats for your character. And then with the arrows on the right and the left side of the page, I've seen some pictures where it actually talks about kind of story background behind those specific worm prints, which I think is kind of cool. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. Okay, so the next part I want to show you guys, you can see this is the banners for the summons. It looks like there's going to be multiple different types of banners that you can use. For this one, it says the Royal Maelstrom attacks surrounding foes and slash forward with Xander. So he's kind of like the main character of that banner that you're going to go for. Also talks about first encounters, appearance rates, and the showcase information. So you can click on the showcase information to find out what heroes you can summon, the appearance rates for those heroes, and the first encounters, I'm not really sure what that means. Possibly because like it talks about if you summon a duplicate of that hero, they turn into that liquid, I can't remember what it's called, Eld Water. With the first encounters, it might be, you know, characters that you've already encountered before you, so you can see which characters you haven't gotten. Now if we go ahead and keep going, it shows right here, Diamantium and Wormite. It looks like it costs 150 Wormite in order to summon a single hero, or do a single summon, and then 150 Diamantium in order to summon as well. By the way, big shout out to the game, 500,000 followers, so those of you that are going to download and play the game on the first day, we're going to get 1,500 Wormite, so you can do a 10 hero summon, which is pretty awesome. So right here, you can see the prices. Now these may change, these are subject to change, it says so in the bottom left, but if we kind of go off of this basis, it looks like for a single summon, it's going to cost probably about $3. It's a little high, but we'll see. Prices will change. I wanted to point this out to you guys just to give you kind of an idea of what the prices might be when the game finally releases. Okay, so this one's kind of hard to see, and I'll do my best to explain it. Up on the top left of the main gameplay video, you can see these 3 little boxes. You can see them a little bit on the smaller screens of the other players that are playing with you, but these boss mechanics, I want to talk about this with you guys, and this is one of the things I'm really excited for. I believe it says left leg, right leg, and tail, which means there's specific parts of the body that you can attack, which I hope will activate the break mechanic, making it weaker for the enemy or stunning them for a second. So I like that. I was talking about how I had monster-esque style of gameplay. That's where it comes into play, is when you go up against these bosses, there's certain parts that you're going to want to attack, and if you focus on a specific part, I'm hoping it breaks the enemy, kind of stuns them. I think it's kind of a cool thing. I don't know if any of you guys kind of saw that when you first watched the gameplay footage, but I wanted to point that out to you guys. Okay, this is the part I wanted to talk to you guys about. I don't know if that's a boss monster. It could totally be a boss monster, okay? It could totally be a boss monster. But I think that's one of the dragons in the game. Now this is either a story quest where you're going through and trying to obtain this dragon, trying to make a pact with it, or what I'm hoping, this could possibly be a glimpse at PvP. This is where I'm crossing my fingers, you guys. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on this, but I'm hoping this is a glimpse into the PvP. It probably isn't, but how cool would that be? Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was kind of long, but if you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Dragalia Lost gameplay footage coming in the future. See you, my friends.